We're now going to enter this world of word analysis and structural analysis. So, even within phonics, we can still do some analysis or word analytics, right? Especially when we're doing a running record and we're looking at the errors the child is making or the strengths the child is making in their reading. Some children are able to read simple CVC words, are able to identify, apply the E rule or the R rule, or know those weird English words um, by memory, just by sight, right? But here is a different level of word identification. So this is that in between world between phonics, just letter to sound correspondence, and how to pronounce or decode a word based on its letter or letter combinations. And now we're tiptoeing into the world of definition and vocabulary. We're still not explicitly teaching, on purpose teaching vocabulary, but the student is able to pull out meaning with the parts of a word. So let's define structural analysis. Let's define structural analysis. So, structural analysis is using parts of the word to determine pronunciation and meaning, right? So here's where we're living in the in between world. Pronunciation or decoding, we can apply phonics rules to try to figure out or decode the word, but we can also pull meaning, a little bit of living in the vocabulary word without explicit teaching or with minimal explicit teaching. And so in structural analysis, we have three ways that we can look at a word and not only decode the word, but also pull meaning. The first way we could do this is compound words. Well, that absolutely makes sense because in compound words, if I have two words that make one word up, and I know what these two simple words are, I can probably not only read the two simple words, but I can also pull out the meaning. Then we have something called prefix and suffix. And so you have to do a little of explicit teaching when it comes to prefix and suffix. But once you understand the meaning, or you know the meanings of the prefix and suffix, it is easy from there to apply it to other root or base words. And then you have the root words. And we know that our language is based both in Latin and Greek. And so there are words that are Latin and Greek words that serve as root words that we can add a prefix or a suffix to in order to create new words with new meaning. So here we have, so let's go to the first level. The first level, easy, compound words. And this is two words that put together that make another word. Compound words can also be made up of more than two words, but essentially at the age or the grade that you're teaching this, between first and third grade, it's made up of two words. So if we have a child that can decode the word back and can decode the word pack, we can derive meaning backpack as a pack we put on our back. Again, if we were to divide these two words, back is b, a, and this right here is a consonant blend, k, back. That's how they would decode back. And p, a, k, decode pack. As you read, as you're going through the lessons, as the schooling go up in schooling, they know the definition for a back, and they don't know the definition of a pack, and therefore they can say that backpack is a pack you put on your back. Let's same thing with car wash. In the very beginning, children will learn how to say car, k, and then this right here is a consonant blend, car, p, a, sh, another consonant blend. And if they can read wash and they can read car and they can read wash, they should be able to determine that a car wash is a place where you wash your car. right? So this is the structure of the word, me getting meaning from the structure of the word. When it comes to reading the word, you might have a child that can read the word car, but can't read the word wash. You can still say, well, this child was able to identify the onset or the beginning word in a compound word, right? The next part of structural analysis, the next level would be prefix and suffix, right? Even the word, so we have prefix and suffix. So even within the word prefix, prefix means beginning of the word. So means again, as in redo. Means no, as unavailable, no or not also. Unavailable, not available. Means before, so pre-cook. A child can get meaning from this prefix. So if they were to read re and do, they can read they can read do. Well, if means again, again, do again. Great. Friend, you just got meaning out of the structural analysis. Also, you were able to show me that you can break down this word into a part that you recognize, such as do, or be able to blend that R and the E. Same thing with unavailable, same thing for pre. Suffix is the end of the word. So at a very young age, we learn that ing means current action, which is eating. S means many of, which is the plural paper. That is one that these two we really go for very early. That whenever you see an S, that means plural, ing that they're doing. And ed is past, such as tried. As they go up in grades around second and third grade, you teach what is going on here, where the Y becomes an I, and then you put the ending, right? That there is a change in the spelling of the word when applying a suffix. But that is already like, think about it. Do you expect a kindergarten to know that? No. But I would expect a third grader to start getting to know that or know that already. So think about around what age a child should be knowing this. You know, I'm not even expecting a first grader to know that rule. But the higher you go, the higher their spelling and structural analysis knowledge should be. If you notice here, it's from first grade to fifth grade. Still in fifth grade, we are still giving fourth and fifth grade, we're giving them spelling words. We're teaching them that sometimes word change, or sometimes in the English language, we just spell the words the way they are just because that's what we do in the English language. Then the last part of morphemic or structural analysis is the root words. And this is where you really go into content. The examples I put in here, very simple words, but root words really helps in the upper grades, in the fourth, fifth, sixth and eighth grades, to really break apart these content-based words. So content-based words based in science, social studies, very specific words. It also helps with our next level, which is reading comprehension and vocabulary development. If they can identify words based on prefix and suffix and based on root words, you're already halfway there defining these complex content-based words. So here we have the word rewrite and writer. What they have the same is this base word of write, but it changes meaning when we put a prefix and when we put a suffix. Rewrite is to write again. Writer is a person who writes, because ER means person. Sorry. So this is why it's important first to learn prefix and suffix and then be able to identify these root words. All right. Last but not least is sight words. And sight words are part of just words that children need to learn quickly and automatically in order to help with their reading rate. Sometimes sight words are simple decoding that it takes way less effort to memorize it than to actually decode it. But sometimes it's words that are they're just spelled differently. They're one of those weird English language words that it's just better to learn to teach or have children memorize than actually decode the word and explain their meaning. So the sight words are usually known as high frequency sight words, and we encourage the memorization of these words as whole words. They help with automatic recognition of these words instead of decoding. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the questions. If you are noticing, we're on number 35. We're almost approaching the midpoint. I did say that anything that has to do with phonics instruction and word analysis usually is the bulk of your test. All right, let's read the problem. A teacher poses the following question to the fourth grade class. So we're thinking about this in fourth grade class. And when we looked at the spectrum, let me just go back really quickly so that you can see it. When we looked at the spectrum in structural analysis, we noticed that structural analysis really starts between the first and the fifth grade, right? I'm not expecting a kindergartner to break down a compound word when they're barely learning how to read one of those words, right? So in fourth grade is one of the highest levels in structural analysis. So you want to think very high level structural analysis. What word can you think of that have the word act in them? So act. Okay. Some people might say that act is a root word. All right. I'll agree with that. But this is the importance of reading the entire problem. Using the students' responses, the teacher creates the following web on the board. So the word is act, and the children give her all these words. And I have some kids that are able to put a suffix s and ed at the end, give me a prefix er, give me a suffix and a prefix. Great. So obviously, act is a root word. But also taking this word and getting meaning from it and getting other words from it, right? Just in the world of reading the word, identifying parts of the word is called morphemic structure. So let's see what you have. This technique is likely to be most helpful for enhancing the student's awareness of. So we have morphemic structure. Morphemic structure is to read parts of the word or get meaning from parts of the word that they all have. Compound words, well, okay, some of these words are compound, but what does this have to do with anything? Can axe is not a compound word. Syllable pattern. Okay, a lot of these words have syllable, but how about words like act or axe? They are not multisyllabic words, so it has to do with nothing. So right now the battle is between Greek root words and morphemic structure. And this is a problem that many people will get wrong if you don't know the technicalities of Greek and Latin words. And the reason why I use this is, remember what I said at the beginning when it's understanding your score. If you have not seen the video Understand Your Score, please do, because this will give you less anxiety. Remember, you can get 15 to 20 of these wrong, right? Let's say you did all your work with this. You identified this and you're like, yes, that's a root word. And you go ahead and choose D as the answer. You will find out that D is the wrong answer. And the reason why D is the wrong answer is because actus or act is a Latin, not a Greek. I personally would have not known that. And I personally would have picked D as the right answer. I wouldn't have picked A. But remember, we are thinking about morphemic structure and we're thinking about fourth grade. Greek words is something that you're not teaching fourth graders, right? I'm not teaching kids, explicitly teaching kids in first, third, fourth, fifth grade about Greek words. That's already an upper level thing. So the correct answer is morphemic structure, because this is teaching a child how to look at this word and then add suffix and prefix to change, or both to change the meaning, right? Adding suffix or prefix. But again, if you understood that you have 15 to 20 of them, that allowing yourself to have wrong, you wouldn't be too stressed about this. This is a complicated question. Like I said, I personally don't know the difference between Latin and Greek words. If I did some of the research, I could probably get it and I would memorize it. But these are one of those questions that sometimes you're like, you got to break it down and just pick the best one. The best thing you want to think is, am I actually teaching a child about Greek or Latin words in fourth grade? No, it would be the other one. All right, let's go for this one. Which of the following set of words would be more effective to use when introducing students to the concept of structural analysis? So we need to know what structural analysis is. And structural analysis is looking at the word and the parts of the word to get meaning, right? So let's look at this. Late, great, wait, eight. Well, great, at some point they all rhyme. They all sound alike. But does rhyme have to do with the structure, the way it's written, the parts of it's written? Hmm. So no, this does not have anything to do with structural analysis. It has to do more with the sound of it. Late, great, eight, wait, eight. I can say all these words are the endings are spelled differently, but they rhyme. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about structural analysis, and it's the parts of the word. Remember, another way to remember is a great structure or great building is made up of different parts. So then we have afraid, obtain, explain, and remain. Two things I see here similar. They both have that vowel team rule, and they both have the same ending. That could be a magic maybe, because we're dealing with onset and rhyme, and we're dealing with vowel team. I'm looking at the structure of the word, AI, and at the end. Well, this is the only one that doesn't have the same rhyme, right? It says afraid, but nonetheless, they all have in the middle the same vowel team. Let's do the next one. Swim, swims, swam, swum. All of these, other than having that onset similar, they are all family names. Swim, swim, swam, swum. That's all a family type name. Does this actually have to do with the structure of the spelling, or more that the structure of the word and how it's spelled, or does this have to do more with all these words pretty much the same, mean the same thing with different tense, right? These are all family words. It's like you, your brother, your sister, your cousin. You all could look alike, but you're different in many ways. So I'm going to say no to that. Let's do the next one. Pre-test, retest, tested, or testing. So these are not family words because they don't have a similar meaning. But what they do have similar is a root word. And I can go ahead and pull the meaning of this word or read parts of the word based on that root word. So we have test, 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 and test. And so you have a little kid that knows how to read the word test. Now all you have to teach him is the pre, the re, the ed, and the ing. And once you teach them how to read the pre, the re, the ed, and the ing, then you can pull meaning out of it, all having a root word. So let's go back to the question. Which of this introduced students to the concept of structural analysis? So getting meaning, pulling out meaning from parts of the word. So definitely D is ours. It is not B because B is dealing with just figuring out how to pronounce that, right? B is just phonics. And this is too low of a level. Rhyme is phonological awareness. That's way too low a level. And actually, family words are too high of a level. So D, in this context of reading, structural analysis is the process of recognizing the morphemic structure of words. All right, let's do this one. Which of the following principles is best illustrated by the words watched, wanted, and warned? And I'm picking really weird and hard questions because these are the ones that if you don't really do a little bit more research on suffix and prefix and how they change the word or how you have to change the spelling of the word, there might be the possibility that these are the ones that you're going to get wrong. Okay, so let's do the first one. Spelling is often the best indicator of the pronunciation of a suffix. Spelling is often the best predictor. When I first read this question, spelling is the best predictor in the English language, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. The spelling in the English language is definitely not the best predictor of how to pronounce a word. We have words that for some reason have a GHT at the end, but they are pronounced rough. Or for example, through. How does through, like if you spell out the word through, how does that G and the H tell me how I'm supposed to pronounce the word? So automatically, when thinking of the English language, spelling as best predictor in the pronunciation is just wrong. And none of this has to do specifically with suffix. They all have the same suffix. The pronunciation hasn't changed. Watched, wanted, warned, right? So we're not talking about the change of the pronunciation. Let's do the next one. Open syllables are usually pronounced with long vowel sounds. Well, are we dealing with syllables here? No, not really. We're dealing with things that have to do with the ending or the suffix. So this is wrong. This is just out of context. The spelling of a suffix is often more reliable than the pronunciation. So again, what I said, this one and this one are very similar because this one is talking about the spelling is the best predictor, or is the spelling more often more reliable than pronunciation? We know that in the English language, the spelling will not change, but that pronunciation will definitely change in the word. I can't think of any words that I have right now at mind, but I know that sometimes combinations of word, you think it's gonna say that, but it actually doesn't say that, and it's another word, and it's just a sight word that you need to learn just because the English language is that complicated. The second letter of a consonant blend is usually pronounced as the onset of the following symbol. Okay, so we have watched, and we're talking about the second letter of a consonant blend is usually pronounced as the following symbol. For first of all, in consonant blends, we actually blend that it's one sound. So why would it be the beginning of the next syllable? So wanted is actually an N and a T is not a type of consonant blend. We just say wanted, wanted. Watched, we're not going to say walk. No, it's just watched. TCH is one sound. So this is wrong. So between the pronunciation and the spelling, I'm going to go for the spelling first. That was pretty complicated, but the word list all contains regular past tense inflections. The ending in the spell is spelled the same way in all three words, but the ending pronunciation is different, right? So we have watched, wanted, and warned. The spelling is the same, the pronunciation is different. Let's do this one. Instructional analysis is likely to promote upper elementary students' reading comprehension primarily. So when we are teaching structural analysis, we know that structural analysis is decoding or defining words, parts of the word. So whenever I hear or see the word structural analysis, I know I'm talking about little parts of the word, right? How is this going to help elementary school students comprehend what they're reading? So let's see. By facilitating their ability to use phonics generalization codes, So we know that phonics generalization is the rules. Enhancing their familiarity with text structure and features used to define different genres. We have not talked about genres nor text structure. Genres is fiction, nonfiction, where this is all right here, completely out of the element. It's all too high. Remember, sometimes they will throw that at you, too high or too low level things, just to mix you up. Equipping them with the strategies to understand the meaning of unfamiliar multisyllabic words. So, multisyllabic means there are different little parts. So, there are little parts to a word, and I'm trying to find meaning in these unfamiliar words by reading these little parts. That's a magic, maybe. And increasing their knowledge of key vocabulary found in content areas. So I have really not spoken about content areas and much less textbooks. Um, think about it, I will never have a first grader actually read a textbook. I know that in my school we had textbooks starting very early, but our textbooks started around second to third grade, right? I thought it was pretty cool because in my school you got a textbook when you went upstairs. I remember when you went to the grades upstairs, which was after third grade, you went to the grades upstairs, you would get a textbook that you have a cover with a paper bag cover, and that you had to take home and take care. At that point I already knew how to read. I might not know every word in there, but I knew how to read. So this is something else that's a little bit too high also. So the answer would be C. It's not A because phonics rules are way too low. This C is just right. In the context of reading, structural analysis is the process of recognizing morphemic structure of words. So recognizing small parts of the word that are base words, prefix, suffix, and inflections. So here, once again, is the spectrum. We're going to revisit that chunk of the spectrum. We're going to revisit the little notes that I write on the side when we go into the essay writing. Because when we go into the essay writing, the word analysis essay writing, you're going to have to identify if the child can sound out, letter to sound correspondence. If they're able to do onset and rhyme, do they know the rules? Can they read multisyllabic words? And can they identify sight words or low vocabulary words? So we'll revisit those little notes at the right on the side. So this spectrum right here, again, is K through second, sometimes in the beginning of third. When a child is able to master all of these skills, they are reading fluently. They are ready to now read to comprehend. The caveat is I'm not saying that in kindergarten you're not teaching character names and motivation and lesson learned and all those things. Yes, in kindergarten you want to promote the understanding of the story, but the essential part of kindergarten, first, second, and even in the beginning of third is to really make them strong readers through decoding and word recognition.